Namaskar. Welcome to this session. We are considering the Bahya Shaucham. And with regards to Bahya Shaucham, the Oriental culture, Indian culture, has enormous contribution in this regards. Right from the habit of keeping oneself clean is unique in Indian culture. Like bathing. The bathing has been so evolved in Indian culture, and the concept of Navadvara Puri, body, with its 9 gates, the cleansing of the 9 gates. And yoga here exalts that internal body, corporeal body, cellular body is exaltedly cleansed, washed and cleansed by grosser aspects of Pranayama. The Asana, Kriya, Mudra, these practices work exaltedly in cleaning and purifying the physiological system, cellular system, metabolic system. And the combination of Aahaara, Vihaar, Aachaar, Vichaar and the various sadhanas, Sthula Sharira Sadhana, Sukshma Sharira Sadhana, Karana Sharira Sadhana, can exaltedly work in purification. It is worth making a note here and worth mentioning here that the Gudaa shuddhi is really commendable aspect that our culture has given. Otherwise, for Gudaa shuddhi, still there are many societies on the planet that they still continue to use a paper, and it can be understood how unclean the anal mouth is by using just paper in toilet. The concept of toilet paper is something that shows that these generations did not understand the Gudaa shuddhi, washing the anus. So also, now even the Indian culture of our times has lost it. But the ancient Dharma, Samskriti, Parampara definitely stressed on Gudaa shuddhi and Mutrendriya shuddhi. That is cleaning and washing the gates of fecal matter, anal mouth, and even the urinary gate. So even after urination, the ancient Shastras have mentioned that that organ also needs to be washed, of which even most civilized societies of our times are not aware of it. The Dharmashastra specifically mentions this Gudaa shuddhi and Mutrendriya shuddhi. The cleaning of anal mouth and urinary mouth. So it is really matter of pride for us that our Dharmashastras have mentioned after Mala Visarjanam and after Mutra Visarjanam. So after fecal discharge, fecal matter discharge and urination, that the 2 gates must be washed. And that should be done absolutely heedlessly. There should be no heedlessness. So it should be done very, very meticulously, and there should be no heed about such. Otherwise, today, people in journeys, etc., they don't bother about keeping their urinary organ clean or washing after urinary discharge, after urination. But this was a great contribution of our Samskriti, our culture. Let me tell you something from Manusmriti. After Malamutra Visarjanam, after the waste matter that goes away from our body, and we know the waste matter comes out from all the gates. Those gates must be kept clean without any heedlessness, without any pramadam. So that Shaucham is very important, their cleanliness is very important. So Manu very specifically mentions in his Manu Dharmashastra, Manusmriti, the urinary organ should be at least washed once after urinary discharge or after passing the urine. The anal mouth should be minimum washed 3 times, and this should be washed with jala and brud. The brud is earthen matter for cleansing our body. As today we use soap. Prior to discovery of soap or invention of soap, there was a matter that was used called mitti. So brud jala janita washing was prescribed in our Dharmashastra. And after washing the 2 excretory gates, Manu also mentions that the hands must be washed 10 times the left hand and 7 times the right hand. See, unique description here. We wash our hand with a soap, and we don't really intently work on washing the right hand with the left hand rubbing or scrubbing and left hand washed by right hand rubbing or scrubbing. We just join 2 palms and rub the 2 palms against each other. We never wash the right hand with the left and left palm with the right. But Manu mentions our right palm should be washed, left palm should be washed, and of course they will be washing each other. So the left hand should be washed 10 times because the left hand is used for toilet wash. When we go to toilets, we use the left hand to be washing the anal mouth. So also left hand should be used to wash the urinary organ after urination. So left hand should be washed 10 times and right hand should be washed 7 times. This is specifically mentioned by Manu, which is worth taking note of. And then Manu also mentions this. What was mentioned just now can be traced in Manusmriti 6.135. If anybody interested in citing this, it can be cited in Manusmriti 6.135. And in 5.135, Manu mentions that there are Dvadasha malas, 12 kinds of dirts which are emitted by the body. What are the 12 kinds of dirts? See what a wisdom that we can be tracing here. So he names the dirts of the body, charbi, reta, rakta, majja, mutra, vishtha, and the mucous membrane of the nose, the nasal dirt, then Karana mala, the dirt of the ears, then kapha, the phlegm, eyes have the dirt washing natural process by ashru. Water coming from the eyes is also a cleansing process quite naturally there. If the dirt goes into eyes, we know there is watering in the eyes. So ashru, we don't only cry, in the sense we understand the meaning of crying in sorrows, but water coming from the eyes is without regard to mental state. Then there is also netramala, dirt of the eyes, which we need to clean every morning. When we sleep long hours, we know that some dirt comes from the eyes. That's called netramala. And then perspiration. These are 12 malas counted in Manusmriti. So again, it is an interesting observation, and we should be proud of such mention that comes in our Dharmashastra. Which book of religion is mentioning about all this? But our Dharmashastra mentions it. So our Dharma concept is greater and wider than the so-called religion. We tend to equate Dharma with religion with Dharma, which is very, very unjustifiable. So what Dharmashastra tells us, I've cited something for our Shaucha, which is so important. Anyway, the Shaucha Prakriya, the process of Shaucham that our Shastras, our tradition, which has mentioned, has no parallel in the world. No culture, no civilization mentions about the Shaucha in the way our tradition has mentioned. So, all the Dharmashastra, Yajnavalkya Smriti, Manusmriti, Vasishtha Smriti, all these Smritis mention about this Shaucham. And as I was referring to Manusmriti, there's quite an elaborate chapters perhaps, more than one, on Sharira Shaucham, Sharira Mala Nissaranam. So that's a wonderful topic that one should look into, our Dharmashastra. At least Manu mentions about, specifics. 10 times the left hand and 7 times the right hand. Let me cite you something from Vaikhanasa Smriti. Vaikhanasa says, it is left to your intelligence. If you feel washing 10 times is not sufficient, wash more number of times. If the anal mouth you think is not sufficiently washed, you must discern and decide to wash more and more often. So he leaves it to Purusha Buddhi. He says there should be subjective judgment, and it's not just mandatory that you have washed 7 times, then that is enough. As mentioned by Shastra, you have washed it for 10 times, as mentioned by Shastra, that's enough. Because sometimes the dirt is so great. When your hand is very, 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 very dirty, we have to wash it more vigorously and for a longer duration. Like our dirty clothes. Now regular clothes may not be washed as much as the dirty clothes are washed. So there is greater intent in washing dirty clothes. So sometimes our body can be more dirty. In that case, we must decide as to how many times we must take a wash, how many times we have to take a bath. So therefore, Vaikhanasa says that it is left to Purusha Buddhi, Paurusheya Buddhi, that is your own subjective intelligence. So as long as you don't have doubt of any dirt still sticking, you should go on washing. So it is not a mechanical process that you are washed. You have to wash until you don't have a doubt that the dirt is still there. So take bath that way, that as long as you feel that you are not still clean and something else is to be cleaned or something much more has to be cleaned, you must take the bath. It's not a mechanical ritual of 2 minutes or 5 minutes bath. Coming to Daksha Smriti, another Smriti, he is more strict about this body Shaucham, Sharira Shaucham. He says, before you do any Karya, any Anusthana, you have to take special care to be pure and to be clean. So when you are going to do a specific kind of karma, dharma karma, yagna, yaga, yajanam, pujanam, etc., you have to give more importance to be clean. Otherwise you might tend to feel, after all, puja is something to be done with the mind. Why bother about the body? It is not like that. To the extent possible, we must see that we are clean and sanctified for any karma, dharma karma, etc., and any anusthana particularly. Particularly here, yoganga anusthanat. So when it is going to be anusthana, there is greater importance, magnified importance of Shaucham. You should be more clean than ever. You should be more clean than you are always. You must be specifically and typically more clean when you are doing Anušthanam, and you should not lose the advertence that we are dealing with Anušthanam here. Yoganga Anušthanam, Ashtanga Anušthanam. So also he says in his Daksha Smriti, if you are Shauchachara Vihina, understand this concept. Shauchachara Vihina, that means neglectful, careless about Shaucham. So if you are careless and careless about Shaucham, all your Kriyas are nishphala. Otherwise, today we think, your karma, action, karma depends upon your skill, your intent, your intention. Nobody says you should be clean for your karma. They said you must have intention, you must have intent. So apart from those qualities with which you are familiar, something should be done sincerely, intently, diligently, mindfully. It is also important to remain clean. And therefore, Daksha, he says, Shauchachara Vihina karma would be always nishphala. It would be fruitless. It would be useless. So it is so important to observe Shaucham. So you can understand various dimensions of Shaucham. So it is not just clean physical body. And then in our tradition, culture, karma anusthana is always preceded by snanam. Nitya karma is also preceded by snanam. So it comes at the head kind of activity to be susnata. There is a wonderful concept called susnata, well bathed. So one should be well bathed before karma anusthana and even before nitya karma anušthanam or nitya karma even. It may not be anušthanam, but nitya karma we must be susnata, well bathed, to literally translate. And we find so many cultures on the surface of the earth where the bath might be once in a while. Only when you are dirty, take a bath. When you feel that you are dirty, take a bath. If you don't feel you are dirty and unclean, don't take a bath. Whereas snanam in Indian culture became a daily ritual. and done very, very intently, diligently, and not mechanically. Although it is a daily act, we should not be mechanically going through that. And particularly as student of yoga, adhyatma, paramartha, we should understand what is snanam. And therefore, in order that we sanctify ourselves in our bath, we have certain traditional stotras or shlokas which we have to utter while taking bath. One cannot be singing the tunes of films, what is called as film music, but you should be chanting something like Gange Yamune Chaiva Godavari Saraswati Narmade Sindhu Kaveri Jale Asmin Sannidhim Kuru. And a very mug of water should be poured with Bhagwan Nama, Ishta Devata Smaranam. That's how the bath is taken, and not that the bath is a free place to have any thought. Particularly when you are private, in a bathroom, you close yourself and take a bath. The liberty should not be used for any purpose of cupidity, carnality. We must be pure while taking bath. So traditionally we were told to utter the name of God, utter the stotras, utter the nama, and of course the smaranam of the Sapta Ganga, the 7 rivers, the great rivers, and invoke them to appear in your bucket of water, so that every bathroom snanam, every bathroom bath becomes Ganga Snanam. So even the internal purity is taken into consideration. And then in yoga and adhyatma and paramartha, that becomes more important. I recall another mention from Baudhayana Dharmashastra 1.4.8.2. Baudhayana says, listen carefully, water would clean the body. Water would clean and purify the body. The buddhi would be clean by jnana, and by ahimsa the bhutatma is kept clean, and the mind becomes clean by truth. So he suggests that not only the body should be given bath, that is with water, and the body parts which are cleaned with water, the buddhi should be given a wash by jnanam, which is adhyatma jnanam. That will clean and cleanse the buddhi, sanctify the buddhi. The bhutatma, what you call as soul, the soul is washed by ahimsa. Ahimsa will give bath to your soul, not atma, but soul. Soul is not atma, atma is not soul. Soul is soul, atma is atma. Metaphysics should tell us about it, and student of metaphysics should be aware of this. So ahimsa will purify the psyche and consciousness. So ahimsa is not just a normative principle. Ahimsa, every act of ahimsa gives a bath to something in you. You become sanctified, you become purified. And the mind is given bath by satya. Satya is not just true speaking. The practice of satya will be giving bath, cleaning, cleansing, purifying, sanctifying process for the mind. This is a beautiful thought that you get in Baudhayana Dharma Sutra, which I said 1.4.8.2. And similar quotation is also found in Manusmriti 5.9. So you can find that also in Manusmriti, because many of you may not get hand to Baudhayana Dharma Sutra, but Manusmriti is quite handy, and there also you can find it. The Snanam scores unique importance in our culture, what you call as Hindu culture. It scores great importance. It is not only for Shuddhi, it is for Pavitrya and Mangalya. Susnata, the expression which I used little while ago, is for Pavitryam and Mangalyam. Whereas, world over the bath is taken not for Pavitra and Mangalya, but just for hygiene and cleanliness. So yoga student has something to get here as an instruction, that snanam should be such, bathing should be such that it gives you pavitriam and mangalyam, that you feel yourself purified, sanctified and even auspicious. The relationship between Shuddhi and Pavitrya must be recognized. Except the seers of the lore, nobody really understood the relationship between Shuddhi, purification, and Pavitrya, sanctification. Whereas we must take pride in what our tradition has given to us. Let me remind you of a verse in Bhagavad Gita which says, Nahi gnanena sadrusham pavitram iha vidyate. Pavitrya, pavitrata. It is best attained by jnanam. Nothing is comparable to jnana as a purificatory agency to our psyche and consciousness. We can't give a bath to our consciousness. We can give a bath to our body. We can wash our navadvaras. We can wash our eyes and ears and nose, etc. We can give wash. But jnana would be purifying the core consciousness. So, nahi jnanena sadrusham, nothing is equal to jnana. Insofar as the pavitrya is concerned, sanctity is concerned. So, Shuchi, Shaucham and Pavitrya Mangalyam are best related in the culture from where yoga has taken birth, from where yoga has got place. So that is also a point to be noted. Then, with regards to body, we must also consider that there are contingencies that we get fever. There is a frequent happening to the body. Sometimes or the other time we will be having fever to our body, called jvara. Then the cold, and then we tend to take escape. I have not taken bath because I had fever. I did not take bath because I have cold, cough and cold. I am not taking bath. But there are ways and means to take bath. And today we are familiar with what is called as sponging. Sponging, which is available in hospital conditions. You cannot be taking bath when you are unwell. But then, still there are alternative measures. So, this should be understood that we miss the bath for various such contingencies. But in order that we do not avoid our ancient people, ancient generations gave and suggested certain options. As I just now said, in Vaidya Shastra, medicine, we have the concept, we are familiar with the concept of sponging. And we accept to be going for sponging if we cannot really take bath, and quite justifiably. But then, let me tell you, there are 7 kinds of baths mentioned by our tradition. The bath is not only a bathroom activity that you must get under the shower and you must be using water. So there are alternative measures also mentioned in case that it is not at all possible to be taking bath. Imagine that you are in a polar region and the temperatures are sub-zero temperatures, 20 degrees and 30 degrees, etc., etc. You will not think of taking bath at all. So there are so many conditions where we feel the bath is not a probability, not possibility, not plausibility, no plausibility even, not plausible, possible. More than that, it is improbable, impossible. Yet the Snana Vidhi options are mentioned in our Dharmashastra, which is worth taking note of. So it mentions 7 kind of snana. If the usual snana means bathing in bathroom, bathing in water. Now if it is not possible for some reasons, yet there are options. They are called mantra snanam, that is samantraka snanam, bhauma snanam, that is with the help of wet clothes, any wet towel, wet cloth, or sponging, what we call as sponging today. That's called bhauma snanam. Agneya snanam, that is bhasma limpanam, to apply ash to the body. That's called agneya snanam. Vayavya snanam. Vayavya snanam means it is godhuli lep, giving a coat of godhuli from cow shed, from cow dung. In cow shed we should collect the cow dung and apply it to the body for a while. So that is Vayavya snanam. Then I suppose Vayavya snanam also can be imagined as with the help of breeze also we get a wash. We become clean by breeze blowing. So that also Vayavya snanam that we can imagine today. Divya snanam is the 5th kind of bath. Divya snanam means to be getting drenched in rains. Now today, getting drenched in rains is quite hazardous, because these days we have rains of acids, which is man-made calamity. The first rains are said to be acidic rains, but otherwise in earlier times this was not there. We did not toxicate the atmospheres around us, but that is happened today. But then Divya Snanam was taking bath in rains, drenching in rains. And Varuna Snanam, this is the 6th one. It is by taking dip in water bodies, lakes, tanks, ponds. And Manasa Snanam is just mental process of Snanam, which is by Bhagavanta Dhyanam, Bhagavad Dhyanam and Bhagavan Nama. Even Bhagavan Nama would give you a bath when the usual bath is not possible, probable, plausible. So there are 7 options: Mantra, Bhauma, Agneya, Vayavya, Divya, Varuna, Manasa. So some options have been mentioned so that we should not escape Snanam at all. There is always some way to be taking snanam, even if you are not able to go to bathroom and take a bath. And this can happen in our life that sometimes that we cannot be going to bathroom and take a bath, get under the shower or pour water on our bodies. As I said, reasons such as fever, jwara or indisposed condition. Yet there is optional snans available, various kinds of bathing available, given by our culture. Now, I recall, the last one was Bhagwan Nama, Bhagavad Dhyana Bhagwan Nama. I recall a very, very well-known, popular couplet which our tradition has given. Apavitra pavitro va sarvavastham gatopi va yasmaret pundarikaksham sa bahyabhyantar shuchi. The Pundarika Dhyanam, Pundarika Namam, Pundarika Smaranam would come handy whether you are Pavitra or Apavitra. Apavitra Pavitro Va, you might be Apavitra or Pavitra. Sarvavastham Gato Api Va. In all states of you, it is available. What is it? Yasmaret Pundarikaksham. Let us remember the lotus-eyed divinity, Hari. That will work for Bahya Abhyantar Shuchi. That will really purify you internally and externally. And this is quite a familiar kind of couplet for those who are little familiar with the rituals of our dharma. The yoga sadhaka, adhyatma sadhaka, paramartha sadhaka, they have to give special consideration to this concept of being clean, being pavitra, being mangal, mangalyam, pavitriam and shuchi. It is so important, extraordinarily important for those in the path of yoga, those in path of adhyatma, those in path of paramartha, those in path of spirituality. This becomes more important. And therefore, traditionally, our ancestors were invoking the waters of great Ganga and all those great rivers of Bharatavarsha, and they will invoke those rivers into that bucket of water through which one takes bath. And that's again taking worth note of. Gange cha Yamune chaiva Godavari Saraswati Narmade Sindhu Kaveri Jalesmin Sannidhim Kuru. So that's the invocation, invoking the waters of these great rivers. All these rivers have great history. And therefore, they have unique place in our culture. We don't just have rivers as water bodies, which world over they call as water body. This is not just a water body for us. River has given us enormous civilization, enormous culture, because most of the inhabitations were by the sides of the river. Great sages lived by the river. Yogis lived by the river. And river have given that age-old wisdom to us. So Shaucha Palana can become more and more pervasive, and more importantly in Niyama Anusthana, Niyamanga Anushtanam of yoga. And it would definitely take us to Pavitriam and Mangalyam. So whatever is Ashuchi Bhuta, it is not only dirty, but it is also apavitra. So the dirty things are inauspicious and the clean things are auspicious. all that is auspicious is clean, all that is clean can be auspicious, all that is unclean will be inauspicious, and all that is inauspicious will be unclean. Now this is something that the wisdom has given us, and we must transmit it to generations hereafter. So whatever is Parama Shuchir Bhuta, Parama Pavitra, Parama Mangala. So you will know that whatever is Parama Shuchi is Parama Pavitra. Whatever is Parama Shuchi is Parama Mangala, Parama Pavitra. And therefore Patanjali extends the effect of Shuchi to the highest human spiritual endeavor called Atma Darshanam. So his sutra on Shuchi extends to Atma Darshana Yogyatvam, which of course we'll be seeing shortly when we go to that sutra. Sattva Shuddhi Saumya Manas Ekagriya Indriya Jaya Atma Darshana Yogyatwani Cha. Atma Darshana Yogyatvam, qualification to get spiritual realization, is Shaucham. So Shaucham can extend to that extent. And then it is really devaluating the concept by taking this as hygiene, merely hygiene. Hygiene will not give you qualification to be having spiritual envisionment or spiritual experience. That's why Bhagavad Gita in 4.38, which I quoted earlier, Nahi gnanena sadrusham pavitram iha vidyate. Nothing is as auspicious, as pure, as sanct as very jnana. So, jnana is parakashta of Shaucham. Adhyatma jnanam, Atma jnanam is acme condition of Shaucham. It is only Shaucham that will give you Atma jnanam, Adhyatma jnanam. So, parakashta, Kashta Prapti of Shaucham is Jnanam. So that tells us much about the Jnana Vijnanam of Shaucham that is being mentioned here. By Paramarthika Jnanam, all the dirts in our psyche consciousness by way of Klesha, Kalushya, Chitta Dosha, Vasana, Kama Kamana, Shadripu, they all flee from our consciousness. So our consciousness is freed from all these dirts. Klesha, Kalushya, Chitta Dosha, Vasana, Kama Kamana and Shadripu. And therefore there is Mano Shuddhi, Chitta Shuddhi, Buddhi Shuddhi, Bhava Shuddhi, Ahankara Shuddhi. And therefore the Klesha Vasanas flee from the consciousness and a man becomes Mahamanava. In the Daivasura Sampatti Vibhaga Yoga of Bhagavad Gita 16th chapter, Shaucham has been included in Daivi Sampada. The verse 16.3 says Teja, Kshama, Dhruti, Shaucha, Adroha, Natimanita are all Daivi Sampada, and Shaucha has been included there. So it is a divine endowment. So all those qualities required for spiritual seeker mentioned in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which you get from verses 7 to 10. Every student should read this, study this verse and imbibe this verse. If you are a spiritual seeker, you must inscribe these advices of Bhagavan Shri Krishna, which come in 13th chapter, verses 7 to 10. And that includes all forms of Shaucham for Pavitri and Mangalya. There is another dimension that we get in Garuda Puranam with regards to Shaucham. And there is a topic called Niti Shastra Kathanam. There is a chapter on morality, ethicality, which comes in very ancient Garuda Puranam. So we will be taking note of that. But that will be in our next session. So enough for the time being. Namaskar all of you.